Is this thing on? I have a disclaimer for you. This video or any of my other content, in fact this very channel, is unsuitable for children. My videos are not made for children. Welcome back to Big Mouth. Fancy seeing you here, and you are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Welcome back to Big Mouth. Hello, and you can keep this and any other conversation I ignite going over on my Twitter at Movies TV Mad, on my Vero at Big Mouth 1, and the extension of this channel is my Instagram, Big Mouth. Welcome to Monday's edition of the dceu Daily, and today, very shortly, we'll be reading an article from, you guessed it, Screen Rant, my go-to site, where they talk a bit more about Boss Logic's Man of Steel 2 Brainiac fan art. So I want to talk about that, and I want to read that. I did mention that to you the other day, but then we take a deep dive into the Snyder Cut. They've got another fabulous article where they talk about all the dark side scenes that were cut. And then we listen to an interview from the guy whose name escapes me, but I'll get to him later, who apparently did play Green Lantern in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. There's 30 minutes of footage apparently cut of him. Joss Whedon cut 30 minutes. There was nothing. All we got from Green Lantern was the little green thing, boom. That was it. So we'll be talking about all of that. And to finish off with, I'll be giving you my thoughts for today on the Snyder Cut. So shall we begin? Let's. Man of Steel sequel, fan art imagines Brainiac versus Superman. Now, I think we'd all be down for that, wouldn't we? Man of Steel may not be getting a sequel anytime soon. Don't bet on it, bucko. Who wrote this, actually? This is Rebecca Vanaka. Well, hello, Rebecca, and I'm going to read your article. And if she is on Twitter, please follow her. I'll look for her later on as well. So let's see if she's done anything any good. But that hasn't stopped one artist from imagining who Superman might battle if it ever does. Man of Steel was released in 2013 and kicked off the dceu the same way Iron Man did the MCU 5 years earlier. Man of Steel also introduced fans to Henry Cavill as Superman and paved the way for films like Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. While Batman v Superman does feature Cavill as the Man of Steel, many do not consider it a true sequel to the original film and have been hoping for one ever since. Look, Batman v Superman is a sequel to Man of Steel, but it's not a standalone sequel, right? It kind of introduces the shared universe, and I think it's a brilliant sequel. But what we want is a proper standalone Superman film to continue from 2013's Man of Steel. Of the many villains Superman could face in the Man of Steel sequel, some have been hoping for Brainiac, including Cavill. In the comics, Brainiac is one of Superman's greatest enemies and one of the most dangerous villains he faces. Brainiac is usually shown as an alien cyborg who wreaks havoc on Superman's planet, Krypton. By shrinking the city of Kandor, the character has been part of Superman's story for a long time. Having first appeared in July 1958, considering what Brainiac's capable of and the impact he's had on Superman's life in the comics, it makes sense why many think he should be the villain of a potential Man of Steel sequel. We did hear, and I can't remember who from, that apparently Swanwick, aka Martian Manhunter, just does one clock about the incoming Brainiac at the end of the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Very exciting stuff. I think that's what we're going to get. Artist Boss Logic thinks so too and has created an image of what he thinks a matchup between Brainiac and Superman might look like. While his Superman could easily be Cavill, his Brainiac is a different interpretation than what is usually seen. In the comics, Brainiac is typically depicted with green skin, while here it's blue. The picture successfully captures the power that Brainiac has over Superman, as he's shown as significantly larger than the Man of Steel. Check out Boss Logic's art of Superman vs. Brainiac below. Right, I can't see it. Well, I can't see it, so let's carry on reading. No, it's not here. Anyway, A Man of Steel sequel may be far from certain, but fans have plenty of other DCEU films to look forward to in the next few years. Margot Robbie will return as Harley Quinn next year. Birds of Prey then the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. She'll be joined by other popular DC characters such as Black Canary and the Huntress. 2020 will also let fans reunite with Diana Prince for Wonder Woman 1984, a film that will also resurrect Chris Pine and Steve Trevor. However, despite the DCEU's busy slate, Boss Logic's art shows that many are still thinking about a Man of Steel sequel. At this point, it's unknown if it will ever happen, or if those involved will come back for a potential film. Though Superman has battled dozens of villains over the years, many fans consider Brainiac to be one of the best. He would certainly be a good choice if a Man of Steel sequel ever comes to fruition. Well, that was a really good article. It's a shame they don't actually have the picture, never mind, of him. But actually, let's see if we can find it on Boss Logic's Instagram. I remember if I showed you this the other day. But anyway, take another look at it. It's pretty awesome. And as Rebecca said in the article, he's standing much larger than Superman, so it makes him a much bigger foe. Now, Boss Logic, as I did say the other day, has got connections with the people, and he's with The Rock. He's actually officially working with them to do art to promote the film for Black Adam as well. And as I said the other day, someone came in the comments and say it won't be Henry Cavill, and he goes, don't bet on it. So some very interesting things happening. I don't agree with Rebecca. I don't think it's hit or miss whether Cavill returns in Man of Steel 2. I think it's in development. It's going to happen. And I don't know who's going to make it, if it's Snyder and J.J. Abrams, or J.J. Abrams making a Superman universe while Snyder continues with the Man of Steel verse. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but we live in hope, and I always rather believe in the positive, what could be, rather than what could never be. You know what I mean? Yes, so here's another brilliant article from Screen Rant. Justice League, every scene Darkseid was supposed to be in. So this is by Brad Curran. Yeah, I've read his articles before, very good. So let's have a look, Brad. Although Darkseid was removed completely from the theatrical version of Justice League, the DC supervillain's role in the Snyder Cut carried a fair amount of significance. The Justice League reshoots, which were done in Zack Snyder's absence after the director left the film due to a family tragedy, oh, please stop supporting that narrative, we'll talk about that later, resulted in a theatrical cut of the movie departing heavily from what Snyder had intended. Among the many alterations made to the film was the removal of a larger number of DC characters, both major and minor, including Darkseid, who would only be referenced with a single line of dialogue by Steppenwolf. For the unity! For Darkseid. I actually got a boner when I heard his name. Do you know what I mean? And that's all we got. Imagine the kind of boner I would have got if we actually saw him. Snyder Cut, be careful. Make sure you tell me before you release, because I'm going to need extra large boxer shorts. Anyway, you didn't want to know that, did you? So let's carry on. The Justice League Snyder Cut has seen what can only be described as an explosion of mainstream interest recently. A rapidly expanding deluge of cast and crew members have begun openly advocating for the release of the Justice League Snyder Cut, with Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck now among them. Additionally, Ray Porter, who portrayed Darkseid in the movie, has also made his support for the Snyder Cut's release known. Ray is awesome, and he deserves to be paid for what he did. Without actually seeing Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, only so much can be said for certain about Darkseid's role in the film. However, information that is publicly known, much of it made available by Snyder's own social media teases, can be used to establish which scenes Darkseid can be confirmed to have appeared in. One area where Darkseid was definitely set to appear was in the Justice League history lesson, for sure, as revealed by Snyder himself on Vero. Additionally, Darkseid, known by the name of Euxus, at this point the film was set to go head-to-head with Ares, the god of war. Ultimately, Darkseid's presence in the history lesson was swapped out for Steppenwolf in the theatrical cut. We get there. Don't worry, I'm going to erupt about this whole situation. The history lesson may also have tied in with the mural of Darkseid seen by Wonder Woman, and he was also set to appear in another pivotal moment in the movie. specifically Cyborg's interface with the Kryptonian scout ship during Superman's resurrection, would have seen another vision of the nightmare reality glimpse in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Furthermore, Darkseid was also to be seen during the movie's climax, following the League's defeat of Steppenwolf, with the latter having originally met a much more definitive end as well. It is probable that there were other scenes featuring Darkseid in Zack Snyder's cut of the movie. Indeed, recent image released by Snyder relating to the Man of Steel's heroic sacrifice in Batman v Superman seemingly points to the Snyder cut revisiting Kal-El's death. And this could have also been an area where Darkseid held some kind of looming presence. Nevertheless, the aforementioned scenes are the only ones in which Darkseid certainly appeared in, but there could be more. We don't know. By now, it is as clear as it's ever been that the particular circumstances of the Snyder Cut make it truly unique among superhero movies, with or without it actually being released. Furthermore, it is now just as evident that the growing demand for its release is here to stay. Yep, with mainstream interest in Zack Snyder's version of Justice League steadily rising, what is both known and unknown about Darkseid's role in it is sure to be one of many factors to keep talk about the Snyder Cut going for a long time to come. A brilliant article. Was that Brad Curran? Well done, Brad. No, that was a brilliant article. I really liked that. Look, the whole thing's perplexing. I really want to get into it and have an emotional outburst because I need it, because I've been holding it in for such a long time. But I want to finish off what I'm doing on today's show. Then we can really take a deep dive. You know, Darkseid. We all know Darkseid, right? If you read the comics, even if you watch Smallville, you know who Darkseid is. The animated movies, you don't even have to read the comics, right? So I think we can say we will be pretty impressed and happy with an awesome version of Darkseid on Justice League, right? But there's more than that. There's more than that. Because we're going to hear from the actor who played a member of the Green Lantern Corps and what he has to say. He's been on Instagram. Thank you to Batflex16 for inboxing me this on my Instagram, Big Mouth, and making me aware of what he's had to say.
When Zack Snyder was directing,
yeah.
So and obviously a lot of the Zack Snyder stuff was cut. So yeah, I mean, I had an absolute blast getting directed by Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Playing a character in the DC like movie universe. It was a bit of a dream come true, and I kind of knew when Joss Whedon took over, I was prepared for a lot of changes.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, I filmed with Zack. I didn't, and it turns out that whole arc that I was in was completely gone.
Oh wow!
It was probably, I'd estimate, about a 20 or 30 minute story that kind of the story just skipped. And I think maybe some people who are really tuned into Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon's work would probably watch the film and go, oh, that's what Snyder would have done this, or that's where it would have carried on in this way, where Snyder would have done this, or that's where it would have carried on in this way. Yeah, I filmed a part in it, for example, the black suit Superman.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you've seen that, even though it's just a little moment. Have you seen that?
I've seen it, yeah, I seen it, and it looked cool, and I thought to myself, why can they not do it? Because I was talking with Stephen Geekface earlier about this, and he was saying the same thing. Oh, it's like, what a shame they didn't do such a thing. And
yeah, I saw that scene, the deleted scene, when he just walks in and he looks at the suit, and I was like, oh, there is like, I know some people aren't like big Snyder fans, but I think it had that like Man of Steel, like epic, like really a lot of heart in there, which I really, But anyway, what happened. But I had a blast.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
So, what was your role in it? Can you say? Is it still hush hush?
I don't really know how much I can say. Basically, I'll keep it. I've kind of kept it. Snyder would have done this, or that's where it would have carried. I had a blast.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
So, what was your role in it? Can you say? Is it still hush hush?
I don't really know how much I can say. Basically, I'll keep it. I've kind of kept it. But people can see on IMDb, it's basically like a military-based character.
Okay.
Who was in a scene with a villain and a hero, and I probably had a blast.
Yeah.
Oh my word. So that was Sam Benjamin talking back in 2017. Now, I can't believe this interview got lost. Now, Sam's obviously British. He's from the UK like me. He did this interview with another British lad who seemed a big Snyder fan. And what's amazing about Sam here, he seems like a big Snyder fan too. They were even discussing that black suit deleted scene as well and how awesome that was. Right. So I don't know this for sure now, but I'm going to put my reputation, not that it's a great reputation, just ask all the women I slept with, but I'm going to put my reputation, right, that Sam Benjamin was playing Hal Jordan. And you heard what he said. Joss Whedon cut 20 to 30 minutes of story out of Justice League. And all we got in return was that. And we went, wow, it's Green Lantern. But that's all we got. And the CG wasn't great. And I think that was Joss's CG as well. Look, I've read to you all the scenes that Darkseid was cut out. Now this. How can any sane studio, any sane CEO cut Darkseid and Hal Jordan's Green Lantern out of 30 minutes of footage? Why would you take that away and instead, in Kevin Sugihara, decide that this film has to be 2 hours or just under, and you must suck all the goodness out of it? All the goodness was sucked out of this movie, and in return, we got Superman smiling. We got Wonder Woman smiling. It was ridiculous. But we need to get it out there. Whoever watches this video, I don't know, some of you I know watch it and tell me you watch the videos and you like them. And that's very humbling and thank you very much. Right, there is a lot of people, news outlets saying, look, you see, because what's happened now, you see, we've gone from it doesn't exist to it's going to cost too much to complete. Now, we all know who John Aaron Garza is. Now, I've noticed, I follow him on Twitter. I like John. I think he's a good guy mostly. But I've noticed he's doing something very, very sneaky. He's liking articles that are saying the film's going to cost 40 to 100 million to complete. Because this is what John still believes. John's like a child, grabbing hold of his toys and not letting go. He can't admit he's part of the wrong side of history. So CNBC did an article. I was excited. CNBC are talking about the Snyder Cut. That is awesome. So a few of these people now are going down the road. So these are the same people at first that were saying it doesn't exist. But they can't say that now because they've been made to look dumb. And because they don't want to admit that a finished cut exists, the man said it, the man who made the film said it himself, they're going down this line. So there's two narratives I want to dispel on this video right now. The Snyder Cut of Justice League is complete to Zack Snyder's satisfaction. It is ready to go. As the man said, it is up to Warner Brothers now. Now another thing, and I've said this many times, and I don't like talking about Autumn or bringing Autumn up. Autumn Snyder, Zack Snyder's late daughter, who took her own life tragically. Zack Snyder did not leave this project because of Autumn's death. No. There was a considerable space of time after she died where he at the end walked away, sacked or whatever. Zack Snyder either quit because of what they were doing to him, forcing him to dumb down his work, or they sacked him. Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder are not friends. They are not friends. Zack Snyder did not bring in Joss Whedon to complete a few reshoots and some rewrites. There was no rewrites to do. Zack was happy with what he shot. He knew what he wanted. He was happy with the film he was going to release into cinemas. It is Warner Brothers who went to Joss Whedon and said, so you want Batgirl, right? If you want Batgirl, we need you to replace Zack Snyder on Justice League. We are not happy. We want it Marvelized. We want it under 2 hours. We want laughs, jokes. We want bright colour palettes. So from the moment Batgirl was announced, that's when Zack was being knifed in the back. This is the true agenda. This is the true narrative. He did not leave because of his daughter's death. He was pushed out. He was forced out, right? That's the truth. Warner Brothers picked Joss Whedon because he pretty much made the MCU what it is today, because it was the first Avengers movie that made it so popular with the mainstream. So these are the facts. And then, you see, I don't blame Joss Whedon. He was desperate for Batgirl. I understand why he took the 30 pieces of silver. But what I can't... hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I've got something else for you. So you can tell that I'm very organised on here, and I've got it all arranged what I'm going to do. But I just remembered this when I was having my rant about this, because Danny Elfman replaced Junkie XL, right, to do the music for Justice League, right? I love Danny's music. I don't think his music in Justice League is bad, but come on. We were all doing the whole release the Snyder Cut thing, talking about the music of the dceu. Zack's Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and how epic it is, and how amazing it is, right? Danny Elfman's music just doesn't compare. But that's all right. Danny does what Danny does. I don't have a personal problem until now. Justice League composer Danny Elfman breaks silence on the Snyder Cut movement. Right. Another weekend is almost in the books, and another round of creators have helped up to request the Snyder Cut, the Justice League, to be released to the public. This time it's the film's composer, Danny Elfman, stepping up to request that the cut make its way to the people for consumption. Now this is interesting. He told Joe, well, the thing is, he never finished it, which is not true. So I don't know quite how they do that, because it's finished. He had a tremendous tragedy, which had nothing to do with him walking away from Justice League. I've just explained that. Now, if Zack sees this video and I'm wrong, I'm quite happy, Zack, to apologise to you and your good wife if I've got my facts wrong. But I don't believe you left Justice League because of Autumn's tragic death. Right. He had a tremendous tragedy which has forced him not to finish the film. That's not true. He finished the film. It became a great source of confusion and later contention among people that wanted to see what Zack Snyder intended to play out on the screen. Whether it was the less than stellar performance or general curiosity, things began to balloon in ways no one could have dreamed of. Elfman continued. So it wasn't like I don't quite understand this, because it wasn't like he was fired. He was fired. And that there is a director's cut that is finished. It is finished movie, and that the studio fired him and then hired Joss. Yes, they fired him and brought in Joss. That is exactly what happened, Danny boy. So it's a kind of unique situation, he concluded. I mean, there is definitely other movies where the director was fired and the studio radically changed the movie because they didn't like it. And as a fan, you go, I wonder what the director did before the studio changed the movie. But I'm not really aware of how the dynamic would really apply here. One would have to believe that both Warner Brothers and DC are paying attention to all this further. Release the Snyder Cut was trending nationwide at multiple points last weekend. 2 years ago, this all started getting mainstream attention after Jason Momoa mentioned that he'd seen the fable piss-off cut to MTV News. From that point, what were just whispers on the internet snowballed into a full-fledged movement. The Aquaman star began. I think the public needs to see it. I'm obviously indebted to Warner Brothers and DC, and I don't know how they feel about it. But as a fan, I'm very, very happy I got to see it. No matter how the landscape continues to change, the people that are part of this movement press on. Snyder has talked about this long and winding road in the past. The truth is that the nightmare sequence in this movie was always my idea. That all of that would eventually be explained. Exactly. You know when people were slagging off the nightmare sequence, it doesn't make sense. Because there's another chapter yet, and another chapter. That's the whole point, you idiots. He revealed that we would end up in a distant future where Darkseid has taken over Earth, and where Superman has succumbed to the anti-life equation. There were a few members of the Justice League that had survived in that world, that they were fighting. Batman broke a pact with Cyborg because something happened. They were working on an equation to jump Flash back to tell Bruce, which we saw in Batman v Superman. Oh, God. Hang on, where are we? Where are we? They were working on an equation to jump back to tell Bruce. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Anyway, that was cut. But right, so this is interesting for me because they say Danny Elfman is supporting the release of the Snyder Cut, but then he goes, I don't know how they do that. He wasn't sacked. It wasn't like he was sacked and they brought him in. It's not like he completed the film. Crap. Danny, maybe you're ill-informed, so I'll forgive you. You seem like a nice guy. You are a talented guy. I do love your music. I certainly loved your music on the first Batman movie as well. Look, very talented guy. Let's get that straight. I'm a big movie fan, past, present, and hopefully future. Danny does loads more music. But at the end of the day, right, let's get this straight. Not only did they cut Zack's movie to shreds, they sacked Junkie XL and they brought Danny Elfman in to change the tone of the movie musically. This is not about Zack leaving because of Autumn. This is not about an unfortunate event forcing this situation so you can say, oh well, because if that was the case, they would have put Zack's movie out there. And they no longer wanted to continue with Zack's DCEU. So they stabbed him in the back. They cut the film to shreds. They cut Darkseid out. They cut Green Lantern out. And who knows what else? Supergirl? Because that's a skirt. That's not Superman. And they're women's legs, lovely legs, whoever's legs they are. That's Supergirl. I don't care what anyone says. They cut all the goodness that Zack put in this movie to explain the threads that he sewed into Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And then they presented us with that pile of shit. So I only got one thing to say before I go today. Release the bloody Snyder Cut. If you like the video, share it. I'm very angry. If you like the video, share it. If you like the channel, share it. Tell everyone, like the video. Hit like if you're as angry. Smash the like button if you're as angry about what they did to Zack and what they did to a potentially awesome movie. Click like as well. Please. We will be back for more. And if anything else breaks on the Snyder Cut, there'll be more videos. But this is just... Look, Warner Brothers, before I go, being quiet isn't going to help you anymore. We are relentless. We are not going to stop. We are going to be on Twitter every day posting the GIFs of the beautiful imagery of Zack Snyder from Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. There is no get out here. Your company, and I know you're under new leadership now, but Kevin Sugihara did something despicable, disgusting, and used a death of the man's daughter to get away with it. This has to stop now. This has to stop. Release the damn Snyder Cut so we can all get on with our lives. God.